Ladies and gentlemen, I request you to kindly take your seats. Thank you. Our next session, the sublime cricketer, V.V.S. Laxman in conversation with N. Ram. V.V.S. Laxman is a former Indian cricketer and now a cricket commentator and mentor to the IPL team Sunrisers Hyderabad. He received the Arjuna Award in 2002 and the Padma Shri in 2011 and was named one of Wisden's 5 Cricketers of the Year in 2002. He lives in Hyderabad with his family. N. Ram, chairman of the Hindu Publishing Group and former editor-in-chief and publisher of the Hindu and group newspapers, is a political journalist. His book, Why Scams Are Here to Stay, Understanding Political Corruption in India, was published in 2017. After that small introduction, I'd like to welcome V.V.S. Laxman and N. Ram, the sublime cricketer, the session for now.
Welcome, VVS.
Thank you.
To our festival. I don't know what kind of introduction VVS Laxman needs here. Many of you are familiar with his cricket, his character. He's certainly one of the most liked and respected cricketers in every part of the world, in Test cricket and elsewhere, first-class cricket, everything. He has written a book, 281 and beyond. How many of you know what 281 stands for? I think it's a very written with help of R. Kaushik. It's a very honest, factual, insightful book, and I recommend it to everyone. Copies are available at our bookstall, and some of you would have already got it. But by way of introduction, brief introduction, this V.V.S. Laxman is considered one of Test cricket's greats. Average of nearly 46. Why it wasn't 50 will become clear if you read the book, but we could also discuss that. But for someone who has played mostly 2/3 of his innings at number 5 or 6, quite often with the tail, it was a remarkable achievement. But more important than that is the quality and the consequence of Laxman's batting achievements. And I don't know, most people here who follow cricket would know that against the best team in the world, Laxman has arguably the best record of any of the Indian batsmen of his time. Against Australia. And the 281 made in Eden Gardens, which was very consequential, which was heroic, and the book begins with that. I think it's been rated as certainly the greatest innings by any Indian Test batsman. We often misuse the word greatest, but here is Rahul Dravid, and I quote from Rahul Dravid here on this innings. You know, I sometimes tell people, and I really mean this, I really had the best seat in the house for the greatest Indian innings ever played. And Laxman explains how this was built. We broke it down into small goals, and then in turn, the importance of Rahul Dravid to this great innings and this partnership, his winning partnership. He says, while batting with Rahul, the talk was always minimal, but there was some kind of serenity around whenever you're batting with Rahul. And I think that partnership, also with Sachin, was the highlights. Before I ask him the first question, I want to note that the Indian coach, Ravi Shastri, after India lost the series in England at Southampton, claimed that this team is the best, more or less he said this is the best we've had over the last 15 or 20 years. And I think there was an outcry on the social media, but more important, Ian Chappell, when asked that question, said, maybe the best pace attack I've seen, but certainly not the best batting, and so on. Anyway, these are areas of controversy, and I won't dwell overly on them. Laxman was also a wonderful slip fielder. This record for the second highest number of catches, 135 to Rahul Dravid's 210. So, VVS, your book begins with 281, on which much has been written, and then your early influences. Your uncle, Baba Mohan. VVS comes from a very educated family. Both his parents were doctors, and he passed the entrance exam for medical entrance test, was about to go there when your uncle intervened. Please tell us about it.
Yeah, firstly, I think it's a great pleasure and honor being on this platform with Mr. Ram and such a wonderful literary festival. Yeah, so it was my uncle, Baba Krishna Mohan, my maternal uncle. He was the one who spotted the talent in me. I mean, everyone in India loves playing the game of cricket. You know, it was the same for me. I used to play in my neighborhood. I used to play in my school. I used to play with my friends, with my cousins, with my relatives. But I never ever thought that I would take cricket as a profession. Both my parents, Dr. Shantaram and Dr. Satyabhama, eminent doctors in Hyderabad. So they were my role models. I always used to watch closely the kind of reactions, the gratitude shown by the patients of theirs, you know, and I always felt that, you know, medicine is probably the noblest of profession, you know, so I also wanted to be a doctor like them. And I was good in science. In the 10th class, I got 98 out of 100, first in the state. In my 11th and 12th, I took BPC as my subjects. In fact, I wanted to become a cardiovascular surgeon. But simultaneously, my cricketing career also was progressing, was moving forward. And by the time I was 17, finished my 12th class, I was on verge of playing for Hyderabad in the Ranji Trophy, which itself was a big achievement because Hyderabad team had a strong batting lineup, you know, talented, experienced batting lineup. So almost breaking into that Hyderabad team was a great source of encouragement for me, and that was also the toughest period for me and the family, because we all know, coming from a middle-class family where academics is given more prominence, and this I'm talking about early 1990s, whereas now cricket or any sport for that matter in a country can be taken as a career path, a proven career path. But at that time, the proven career path was either medicine or engineering and anything related to academics. So at the age of 17, we all have to make that tough choice. What is the career or profession you want to pursue? Now I had two options. Because of passing in the common entrance exam, I almost enrolled myself in a Gandhi Medical College, which again is supposed to be a good, popular, famous medical college in Hyderabad. Or do I pursue my dream of playing for the country? Because I still remember when Kapil Dev and his team lifted the Prudential World Cup, and I was 10 years old. I always dreamed one day I also want to do something great for my country in the game of cricket. So that was my wildest dream. So here, the influence and the guidance and the encouragement from my mentor, my guide, my uncle, was very, very critical, you know, and he sort of explained to my parents the talent I had, the spark I had, and the opportunity I had to become an international cricketer. I didn't have the belief. I used to love playing the game. I used to love working hard on my game, but I didn't have the belief even then that I would eventually one day go out and represent the country. And I was very fortunate that my parents gave me the freedom unlike some of the parents of my friends, colleagues who were more talented or equally talented like me, where they almost pressurized and forced their children, their kids to take a professional educational course. And my parents gave me 5 years from 17 to 22, and they told that by the age of 22, in those 5 years, all I have to do is concentrate on becoming the best cricketer I can be and achieve my dream of representing the country. But if I don't make it to the Indian team by the age of 22, then I had to stop playing the game, because something which you love, something you're passionate about, you get emotionally attached to that. So they were very clear about that they're giving me an opportunity, they're giving me freedom. But in those 5 years, at the end of the 5 years, if I don't play for India, I had to stop playing the game of cricket and come back and again appear for the entrance and pursue my goal of becoming a doctor. So my uncle played a huge role, and I can't thank enough the role of my uncle, can't thank enough the role of my parents, because now it seems great. Yes, they've encouraged their son, and he went on to play for more than 100 test matches for India. But at that time,
134.
134 test matches for India. It's just a number. But at that time, it was very tough, because in front of me, my relatives, my friends, parents, my family friends, they all used to criticize my parents, saying that how can they take such a big gamble? How can they ruin my life? So all those incidents, all those experiences, in fact, made me more determined. But not once did my parents ever doubt that the decision they took was wrong. And that's something which I will never ever forget, because not once they showed that they were under pressure. Not once they regretted allowing me to play the game of cricket.
Mother and father equally?
Equally, both of them. Both of them, including my brother, including my uncle, none of my family members. In fact, they were my backbone. They were my support system, and I always felt, which I write elaborately in the book, is I was very fortunate to have that kind of support system, because when you play the game of cricket in India, where you see a lot of ups and downs, it's very easy to get carried away, because we always live in a bubble. So I was very fortunate that I had that support system, I had that value system inculcated in me right from my childhood. I was very fortunate to have that kind of upbringing, which was very, very important. It's the foundation on which my career and life stood.
I'm going to ask you about that. But before that, it's remarkable that after you announced your retirement from international cricket, you're going to take that medical entrance exam again, and it's your wife who, and you would have made it, right?
Yeah, so in fact, I wanted to play. So when I got to play for India at the age of 22, the goal for me, I've always been a goal-oriented person. I always set goals and had a roadmap how to achieve those goals. So my goal was to play cricket for India, or play cricket till 35 years, retire at the age of 35, 35 to 40, 41, finish my medicine, and from 41, 42, lead a life of a doctor.
So who came in the way?
So what happened was, the first 4 years in international cricket, from 96 to 2000, I hardly played anything. I was opening the batting, I was in and out of the side, and I just played 17 or 18 test matches. And
First 16 tests, 24.07 average.
Yeah, and that 24 came after my 167. It was so miserable.
At Sydney,
At Sydney. So because I didn't play too many games in the first 4 years of my international career, I thought that I had to compensate that at the end of my career. But after retiring, we had a family get-together. All of us sat down, and I told that I want to achieve my goal of becoming a doctor. And my wife, Sailaja, clearly mentioned, do you want me to be in this house? Do you want to have kids and wife to be with you? And my parents supported her. And I told, yes, I agree that she has sacrificed her life, a personal aspiration, so that I could pursue my passion and play with a lot of freedom for my country. So, yeah, so in the end, I decided that, yes, they had sacrificed enough. I cannot afford to not spend time with my kids, with my wife, and that's why I didn't pursue my goal of becoming a doctor. But I'm happy that I got 2 doctorates.
And now, you were too modest to mention that after that low, in the next 2000 to 2004 was a golden age for VVS Laxman, his batting. your average was 60.29 in tests. And 4 tests after Sydney came 281.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of turning points in my career. You know, as I told just now, my first turning point was at the age of 17, where my parents allowed me to play the game of cricket, then playing for the country. The third and probably the second turning point was in 2000, because first 4 years I was batting as an opener, not able to consistently perform for the team, in and out of the team because I was branded as a non-regular opener. And that's when I decided, along with my uncle and my coaches, that I'm not going to open anymore. And that was a time when the Indian middle order was formidable. I had experienced players. There was Azharuddin, there was Sachin, there was Rahul, and there was Saurav. There was no space in that Indian middle order. But I had taken the decision that if I have to do well for the country, which I always strive to do, if I have to win matches for the country, then I have to play consistently in the playing 11. The only way I could do that is if I bat in a position where I am comfortable with, and that was in the middle order, because in first class cricket, I always used to bat at number 3, number 4, never ever open, and I was very consistent in first class cricket. So once I took the decision, I got a spot into the middle order, and the Australia series happened, and that was again the turning point, one of the most memorable series we all have been part of. And since 2000 till the end of my career, I think my average was probably 55, 56. It dropped because the last 8 test matches I played was again poor against England and against Australia. But I think since the time I've come to middle order, I'm very happy.
Australia, it was better than 50.
Yeah.
Until then.
Until then, yeah. And I mean, even after the last series. But since the time I've come into the middle order, I've been very happy that I've been consistent with my performances. See, average of 50 is important for a batsman, but for me, when I was playing the game, the hundreds, the average never ever meant so much to me. What really was important for me was, in tough situations, can I go out and win matches or save matches for my country? And that's what always excited me. And I'm very fortunate and I'm proud that I was able to do that, not once or twice, but a lot number of times.
You didn't feast against 2 teams which were there for the taking, Bangladesh and Zimbabwe, unlike your the 2 other greats, Sachin and Dravid.
Yeah, I think
so
when you're
that
playing,
would have propped up your average a lot more. You only got 50 something.
yeah, very less. You know, in fact, that was something when we had our mental conditioner. His name was Paddy Upton. One of the things which I worked with him was how to give my best or get my game face when I'm going out to bat in a situation which is very comfortable for the team. Somehow I got my best A game whenever the team required it. You know, so when you're playing against Bangladesh and Zimbabwe, I think the team didn't require, or we were always in a very comfortable position. And also when you're playing these sides at number 5, number 6, I don't think so that you're going to get too much of opportunities.
And the other thing that is notable about your test career, in contrast to virtually every other great of that period, you're a second innings man. Your average for second innings was 48.88, compared with 44.25. Didn't apply to Sachin Tendulkar, Rahul Dravid, Ricky Ponting, or Brian Lara. You were different.
Yeah, again, as I just mentioned, that when you're playing in the second innings, there are 2 challenges in front of you. The first and foremost is the situation of the team. Because invariably, whether you're playing the 3rd innings of the match or the 4th innings of the match, you're almost setting the match for the team, or you're trying to win the match for your team. So that was one thing which always got the best out of me. The second challenge was the conditions. Because when you're batting in the second innings, the conditions will not be ideal for batting, because there is a lot of wear and tear on the wicket, and because of which batting will become tough. You know, so again, those kind of challenges I always relished, and I'm very happy that I've been able to succeed in the second innings.
I think people who observed cricket closely, there's Ram Guha in the audience somewhere, and he's on the next session. I think we know that you needed pressure to perform. Would that be right?
Yeah, absolutely. Pressure got the best out of me.
You didn't chase numbers. I was going to go back to your grandfather, who was a Bhagavad Gita scholar. And in your book, you you mentioned what you learned from him, that do your best, but don't fret over the outcome, more or less that.
Yeah, again,
Did that influence your cricket right through?
my life right through. Not only cricket, again, as I told, the upbringing I had, I was very fortunate. So my paternal grandfather, Jagannath Sastri Garu, he was a landlord in Tenali, and he had a vision where his Guruji asked him to donate all the land and go to Hyderabad and spread the message of Bhagavad Gita. This I'm talking about 1930s when Nizam Sarkar was ruling Hyderabad. So all he did throughout his life was spread the message of Bhagavad Gita. He made it a point that all the grandsons, the sons, the entire family learned and recited the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita known as the Bhakti Yoga. So there are 18 verses. And right from my childhood, me and my brother, my parents made it a point that in the morning after shower, in the evening after shower, we did our puja, and we had to by heart and recite the 12th chapter. And I was very fortunate that while playing the game of cricket, I was able to practice, or try to practice, the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The essence of the 12th chapter is two. The two important things is Nishkama Karma, is you do your duty, not craving for the fruits of your action. And that is so important for a cricketer, is you're thinking about the process, not thinking about the outcome. Because if you're thinking about the outcome, then you're not focusing on being in the present. Because the responsibility of the batsman is to be in the present and play each and every ball as if that's his last ball of the innings. So you focus only on the ball, you're not thinking about the outcome. So Nishkama Karma was something which was very important for me. The second thing was being very equanimous. Because when you're playing the game of cricket, one day you score 100, the next day you can be out the first ball. But now if you waver and you're emotionally turbulent, then you will not be able to succeed and you'll not be able to achieve longevity. So I think Bhagavad Gita really helped me to have that equanimity throughout my career, throughout my life. I try to still practice that. And irrespective of what people say, what people write, you don't want to get emotionally turbulent. That's so important. So I think I was very fortunate that I was able to learn the essence of, and learn and practice the essence of the 12th chapter. And I'm an avid reader. I read a lot of autobiographies, a lot of motivational books. But I must just say that all the motivational books I've read are in those 18 verses. Whoever understands and practices the Bhakti Yoga, there's no need for them to read any motivational books.
Are there many cricketers who share this kind of outlook? Have you found others?
A lot of them. People will be surprised. A lot of us are very spiritual, very religious, and because, again, we all come from a background where we were very fortunate to have that kind of upbringing. And I was very fortunate to play in an era, especially the cricketers I played with, who shared the same ideology, who always took a lot of pride in wearing that India cap, always went out to get laurels for the country. We knew that we were the ambassadors of a country. We had the responsibility of being the role models of for a lot of youngsters. But more importantly, everyone were very spiritual. I can't single out one or two players, but everyone with whom I played was very, very spiritual. And that really helps us, because there will be times, when you are disappointed. There will be times when you're depressed. In fact, one entire chapter I write about how tough it is to be an international cricketer, especially an Indian cricketer. Everyone thinks that it's a glamorous life, but the ups and downs we face every day, the challenges, the mental challenges we face every day. If you're not spiritual, I think that spirituality is something which is a huge advantage for Indian cricketers, and we were all very spiritual.
What about superstitions? Cricketers are superstitious.
Yes, cricketers are superstitious.
What was your superstition?
And so I wouldn't call myself as superstitious, but I used to have my own routines. And for us, over the years, what we realized with experience is if you do the routines consistently, your performance also will be very consistent, because it's all in the mind. So the more the mind is calm, more the mind is not restless, automatically you will be in a good frame of mind when you're out there in the middle. Because if your mind is cluttered, then you're not reacting, your instincts slow down, your reflexes slow down. So I had my own routines, the way I used to prepare, the way I used to sleep before, what time I used to sleep before the match, what kind of books I used to read before the match. So it's almost becomes very consistent. We used to repeat day in and day out, match after match, the same things. Now, superstition, yeah, sometimes we are very superstition, like in the dressing room, if you're in a tough situation, the team requires a partnership, and suddenly a couple of my friends or partners, colleagues are just building a partnership. So whatever place we are in, whatever, whatever place we are in, we tend not to move. Because we feel that if we move, then they may get out, and the team. So it's been phenomenal. I still remember the match in Chennai when Sachin and Yuvraj were stitching that partnership where we were chasing that mammoth total. Not one of us moved from where we were sitting. We were confident that our colleagues are going to win the match, but we were a little superstitious that if I'm moving out from this chair, the wicket may fall and suddenly the fortune may change.
Now I'm going to ask you something that is not very pleasant. Nothing to do with you. The present Indian team is not only number one, we surely have the world's best batsman right now, with Smith yet to come back, but Kohli. But we know about your values, the values of your generation, many of them anyway. Also, recently, two young Indian cricketers, Hardik Pandya and KL Rahul, clearly made some awful remarks, whether it's out of ignorance or awful attitudes, we don't have to judge here. But clearly, it's beyond the pale. They've been suspended, rightly so, I think. And one of our authors told me, I didn't know that on Twitter, somebody put up your picture of VVS Laxman and Rahul Dravid saying, this, detoxify yourself. That's all. So what explains the gulf in these values? Because everybody recognized that, you had also the law in Australia, the Budgie episode and so on. We don't know what actually happened. Finally, we got away with it. But what he actually said, I don't know. I'm not asking you about that. We don't want controversies. But by and large, the top players, including Dhoni, MS Dhoni, they had, I think, real value. Sachin, V.V.S. Laxman, I think you are probably the best-liked cricketer among the top cricketers. Rahul Dravid would be up there. Sachin Tendulkar, greatly admired, and several others. Saurabh has his great qualities as well. And MS Dhoni, about whom you speak with great appreciation and respect, even though he was much younger. What explains I'm forced to say, this terrible decline in values, particularly among the current young players? Not every one of them.
Yeah. I think it's not right to generalize, but I think with each experience, you have to learn. And being a cricketer, which again I write in my book elaborately, being a cricketer in India is very tough. How many of us at the age of 17, 18, 19 have to handle crores and crores of rupees? It's very tough. How many of us actually have that opportunity where your bank balance is more than 5 crores, 10 crores, even a crore? It's not easy. How many of us, normal persons, are actually recognized at the age of 17, 18, even before your 20s? But the mind of a cricketer, or the mindset or the maturity of the cricketer is almost challenged, and it's very tough being a youngster in our country. Because the kind of adulation we get, you're almost given the demigod status, you're treated as if you're a king, whatever is asked for is given to you, it's at your disposal, and it's very tough to handle, and everyone will make a mistake. KL, Rahul and Hardik Pandya have made a mistake, and I'm sure that they will regret, and I'm sure they're regretting. But what can we learn from this is very important, and what can the BCCI, the managers, because nowadays, every time there are managers who manage the players. It's also about giving them the right guidance, giving them almost an opportunity to know what has to be said, the way you have to conduct yourself. So I think the bigger picture here is the youngsters, any cricketer, it's not only about this generation, even in our generation, it's required to almost groom them, mold them, guide them. And that is something which is the need of the hour, especially since I think IPL has come. I think a youngster who's just, like Prithvi Shaw, has just played under 19 India last year. Now he's the most talked after cricketer in our country. Shubman Gill just played last year under 19 World Cup in New Zealand. Now he's going to New Zealand to represent the national team. Both of them are the most sought after players in the IPL format, in the T20 format. Wherever they go, they're given that superstardom at the age of 19, 20. But that's a challenge for any sports person in our country. So it's also important to teach them how to conduct themselves. And that responsibility lies with the BCCI, that responsibility lies with the management firms who manages these sports persons, celebrities. And the most important thing for any person, be it a cricketer, anyone who's a role model, have to realize that people are watching you. Without you knowing, you're influencing the younger generation. And I think that's so important to conduct yourself in that fashion, because people are watching you, people are watching and learning from you. So I think with this experience, I'm sure that KL Rahul and Hardik Pandya will become better. And that's the positive side to the entire story. Yes, what they have done is wrong, and they're getting the right punishment for that. But doesn't mean that they're not good human beings. They are good human beings, they are good people, and they've got a lot of pride representing the country. They've done well for the country so far. But we have to be little sensitive. We have to be showing little bit of empathy towards the youngsters, because they are very young. They are very young, and it's really a challenge for such a young mind to be mature. Everyone cannot be mature. But with experiences, with wrong experiences, they will learn and they become better.
It didn't happen to you, people like you,
Well,
when you were young.
No, again, it may not have been in this way, but I learned from the first 4 years of my international career, which again I write in my book. The first 4 years was tough for me, especially the first 1 year, because the background I came from, suddenly I realized my dream of playing for the country. Now I try to fulfill the expectations of everyone, forgetting what I want from myself. Now I sort of also got carried away.
The book is also, there's self-criticism in the book.
No, absolutely.
Where he went there, where he shouldn't have done this.
Yeah, so there's a lot of challenge for any cricketer. Any cricketer who has played this game, or any sports person for that matter. Like we're talking about Saina and Sindhu. How tough it must have been for them when they achieved all the laurels, when they first broke into the national side and achieved laurels for themselves and for the country. How tough suddenly you become the center of attention. It's very tough, because in India we always talk about failures. It's easy to handle failures, but it's very tough to handle success. So I think what we have to also teach, and that's where I think the role of mentorship, the role of mental conditioner, whether you call a psychologist, I think it's at a very primitive stage in our country. Whereas when you go to the foreign countries, there are professionals who help people, who help the players to handle these issues. And these issues are very, very important issues. So I think what is the need of the hour is to have that professional help.
How much time do we have? Okay, good. I'm good, because there'll be questions from the audience. So two things I'll just mention briefly. One is you have a very interesting section on your experience with Greg Chappell and how Greg Blewett handled it. We got the impression the Indian team divided. Some didn't like it at all, because, as you say, as Blewett told you, he has a knack of creating instability within the team. That's the Chappell. And you contrast it with the very positive experiences with John Wright, Gary Kirsten, and Duncan Fletcher even in this. That's one. The other is about the Cricket Advisory Committee and what happened between the BCCI on the one hand and Kohli, and on the other hand, another great Anil Kumble. These are two questions I have. So let me ask this second one first. You, Sachin, and Saurabh were the people in the Cricket Advisory Committee, and I don't think it could have been better, the composition. Dravid was not available, I guess, at that point. Now, couldn't you have done more to sort this out? For example, by appointing Kumble for 3 years. And finally, they just surrendered to the dictates of the captain you had. Maybe they didn't get along, but was that the best way of resolving the issue? Virtually sacking your coach? And on me, more or less through the media.
Now, number one is no one sacked Anil Kumble. No one sacked Anil Kumble. Now, there was an issue as far as Virat was concerned. Virat mentioned that he was not comfortable with Anil's style of coaching, and suddenly the BCCI asked the Cricket Advisory Committee to come. And in fact, because Anil's contract was for only 1 year. I mean,
why not 3 years?
I think that was with the BCCI. It's nothing to do with the CAC, because CAC was given the mandate of choosing the best candidate, and we felt that Anil Kumble was the best candidate to take Indian cricket forward. So the tenure was between BCCI and Anil Kumble. It's nothing to do with the CAC. Now, the second year, because the tenure of Anil Kumble was getting expired, and the BCCI asked the CAC to again conduct a process, and we are very proud the way we conducted the process on both the occasions. And only then we came to realize that there was an issue between Virat, because Anil never had any issue with Virat. You know, Anil, the way he coached the side was fantastic. You know, the result speaks for himself. And for 1 year, the way Indian cricket moved forward also was great to see. And then when the BCCI asked us, the CAC, to suggest what we can do, and after seeing the other applicants who applied along with Anil, we felt that Anil did a fantastic job, and Anil should continue till the World Cup 2019, and that was what the CAC mentioned to the BCCI. But I think probably the circumstances led Anil to resign. Probably if I would have been in his position, I would have also probably taken the same decision. Because what was really disappointing for me was Anil Kumble himself being a legend of the game, who has contributed immensely to Indian cricket and world cricket, the kind of bad press he got during the Champions Trophy. And I felt that Anil Kumble didn't deserve that. But as far as the CAC was concerned, CAC clearly mentioned to the BCCI that Anil Kumble is the one who can take Indian cricket forward, and he was our candidate to coach the Indian cricket team till 2019.
I suppose it was the relationship had broken down, but should you give such power to a captain, however wonderful a batsman he is?
Well, I think
he virtually decided it.
No, it was the CAC who decided it.
No, I mean,
It was not Virat who decided it. Virat came and expressed what issues were, and we felt that it could have been easily sorted out. And but once the circumstances led to Anil's resignation, and once Anil resigned, then there was again a fresh application which were given, and then we felt that Ravi Shastri was the best candidate to take Indian cricket forward. So I think Virat was not the one who decided it was Ravi Shastri, but it was the CAC who decided that it was Ravi Shastri who,
was not.
Once Anil decided to resign.
I think there are many more things, but now I think I should throw it open. Ram Guha, do you have any opening comment or question?
Sir?
Yeah, say it, please.
So I would just like to remind everyone of the poetry and beauty of Laxman's on drive.
Thank you.
Especially of Shade Warne.
Sir? Hello? I have a question.
Please keep the questions brief because there will be many hands.
Hello? Can I go ahead?
Yes.
So it goes without saying, it's a given fact that the game is close to everyone sitting here and the entire nation. So I just want to know your view with respect to how much of a threat do you see match fixing is to the game, and how optimistic are you that it's going to not affect the transparency and integrity of the game? Not only with respect to India, but world cricket. We are all cricket fans. That's why we're here.
Yeah, I think ICC, the BCCI, everyone are taking necessary precautionary steps, and that was probably one of the worst periods in the history of cricket, and that's something which I'm sure that all the players are mindful. There's a lot of counseling which is given to the players about what's right and what's wrong, but I think ultimately it boils down to having that integrity, because the game is really healthy because of the fans. And especially in India, we are so fortunate to have a fan base, have fans who support the Indian cricket team always, day in and day out, and they are our true well-wishers. So I think the ICC and the BCCI are taking necessary steps so that this can be totally out of the game, and I'm glad that it's not at all happening.
Sir. Hello, sir. Sir, I need to compliment you in totality as a person, sir. You are a gentleman who has represented the gentleman's game with certain precision, and you had been a thorn in the Australian cricket, in the flesh of the Australian cricket, and you have supported the many underprivileged children for their socio-economic upliftment. And one thing which fascinates me is that you had the dream of becoming a medico, but how do you just balance your time to hone your cricket skills, sir? So before you answer, we love you, sir. We love you a lot, and hands up to you.
Sir? Hello? Sir?
I request all the ladies and gentlemen in the auditorium to please join the chorus in unison with me. The east or west, the Laxman is best. East or west, the Laxman is best.
Thank you, thank you. So just to answer your question, I never balanced it out. Once I decided that I'm going to play cricket and take cricket as a profession at the age of 17, everything in my life was cricket. Day in and day out, from morning till evening, all I tried to do was to become a better cricketer. So because you cannot balance medical profession and cricketing profession, because both of them require the same amount of concentration, the same amount of time and focus. So that is when my parents told that 5 years, we just want you to focus totally on the game of cricket. Don't get distracted, and you should have that single-minded focus. And that's what I also advise to a lot of youngsters, is first thing they have to learn from, or the first question they have to answer, and the most important questions they have to answer, is what is that they want from their life. At the age of 17, I was very clear that I wanted to be an Indian cricketer, and I focused all my energies to become the best cricketer I can be.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir, over here, sir. Sir? Sir? Here, sir.
I'd first like to say that it's an honor having you in this auditorium today, and I'm a big fan of yours. But my question is, what would be a single line of advice that you would say to younger cricketers at our age, 13, 14, other than focus and perseverance? One line of advice.
Other than focus and perseverance? Okay.
One line of advice.
Okay, other than focus and perseverance, I have to say that have commitment, because but on a serious note, I think it's very important to work hard. It's not only about cricket, to really work hard on what you love, because whatever you're doing, you should be passionate about it, and whatever you're doing you should be loving it. Because only when you're passionate about something, and only when you love something, when adversity hits you, when you're facing obstacles or challenging situations, you can bounce back. But if you don't love something, if you're not passionate about something, it's very easy to give up. So only thing I would say is, if you're playing cricket, you have to love the game, you have to dream about the game, and you have to be passionate about the game.
Provided you have a modicum of talent, right?
I mean, that's a no-brainer. I think it goes without saying that only if you are talented in anything, only then you can pursue and become good at that career or that profession.
Hi, sir, hello, sir.
Hello.
Hi, over here.
Hello. Hello, good evening.
So,
Yes, please.
Namaskaram, Laxman garu, Ram garu.
Bagunara?
My
Namaskaram.
name is Sarvamangala. I am proud of you because you achieved what you wanted, cricket and medicine, and the credit goes to your parents. Did you any time feel that you couldn't play one day cricket?
So it surprises me that even she's a fan of one-day cricket. I thought,
Laxman played 80 ODIs
yeah,
with a decent average of 30.76 and 39 catches.
Yeah, probably I could have played a lot more ODIs, but then the style of my batting was more suitable for the top 3 position, and India had amazing talent at the top 3, which was you had Sachin, you had Sehwag, you had Ganguly. So it was very difficult to break and play consistently, but I would have definitely loved to play a lot more ODIs and probably one World Cup match.
Hi,
Hello,
VVS.
sir. Over
VVS,
here,
hi.
sir.
Thank you. So first of all, thanks for being here. It's a huge compliment to all of us, and thanks for defining my adolescent years. I think those were just defined by your innings, by Sachin's innings, by Saurav's captaincy, of course Rahul's great innings. My question jogs you back to 1998, the Coca-Cola Desert Storm innings that Sachin played. You were a part of that squad. You were a part of that team. I
was at the non-striker. Forget about
yes,
being
exactly. That's what I was going to go to. I remember seeing that match in my old TV, and me and my dad were watching. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today. But that innings, there was one moment when he actually took off for a run, but you declined that single, and he scolded you, right, in the middle of the pitch. And we all, at that moment, we knew only Sachin. We didn't know you as much because 2001 was that great innings that you played, and we all started loving you after that. And then later on, he apologized and even confided that Ajit Tendulkar scolded him for scolding you, right? And 2009 in Mohali, you kind of did the same thing to Pragyan Oja with that match winning. So I just want to know, I mean, it was a great dressing room, I'm sure. Did you apologize to Oja, and did Sachin apologize to you?
Well, the only difference was Sachin apologized after the match. I apologized to Oja at the end of that over.
So why do you think? So over here.
One question.
So why do you think? So why do you think in every decade India is blessed with such a batting force than bowling?
Oh, you didn't watch the Australia series, it looks like.
Sir, not. Sir.
I think it's not every decade. I think India and Indian cricket has always been blessed with some amazing batsmen. I think we have to give credit to the structure of domestic cricket, the number of matches we play, and that's something which I'm really proud of. You see Australia now. When I started my game, when I started playing the game of cricket and my career, Australian cricket and Australian structure was something we always looked up to. Whereas now it's in shambles. And there's no bench strength. They're missing 2 batsmen, but you see there's no bench strength at all. Everyone talking, including the Australian greats like Steve Waugh, Mark Waugh, all of them have been talking about the lack of depth in their batting department. But I think India is blessed with a lot of talented batsmen. And I think I understand what you're trying to say. It's someone like Sunil Gavaskar inspired a lot of us, and then came Sachin Tendulkar who inspired a lot of us, and then now it's Virat Kohli who's inspiring a lot of us. But along with these 3 greats, there have been other greats also who've contributed to Indian cricket, and India is very blessed with having such depth and talent in batting department.
So,
Hello. So, which of your...
So, I would like to ask a question regarding the sledging part between India and Australia. So, currently there was this huge chaos of Tim Payne and Rishabh Pant's sledging comments. So, I would like to ask you if you had such experience regarding the sledging of Australians.
Well, I never called someone babysitter. No one called me babysitter. Probably I was not cute enough to babysit some kids. Rishabh Pant is very cute. And Tim Payne was very confident that his kids will not cry in the presence of Rishabh Pant.
Which of your...
Last question.
Sir, which of your innings against Australia would you rate as your best?
That's a tough question. It's a tough question, but I still feel the 167 which I got, that was my first test 100, and that is something which is very, very close to me. Yeah, but having said that, there are two other knocks which probably was played in tougher and challenging situation.
96 Durban.
Against Australia, it was 69 at Mumbai. It was a minefield. The match finished in 2 days, and I got 69 in that match, and I stitched a partnership with Sachin, and we went on to win the test match. And then the Mohali match, because I was not even able to sit like this, the way I am today, sitting. I had stiff back, I had a lot of back spasm, but going out and playing against some good, talented bowlers, lethal bowlers, and then to win the match, batting first with Ishant and then with Oja. So these two are also quite close to me.
No, I think we have to.
Yeah, 281 काश में not out रहता था. Out हो गया unfortunately 281 में.
Sir,
No. I think we will be unfair to the next session. Read the book. There is a lot more about Greg Chappell. The book, the next edition could possibly be titled 281, 96 and beyond. Because what does 96 stand for? Does anyone know? 96. That was one of the Laxman's greatest innings in Durban, South Africa. And India won the test.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, one of the most satisfying knocks and matches in my career. Thank you very much. It was a real pleasure being amidst all of you. Thank you.